So with the Terminus Easter egg solved, the ending cutscene tells us what's next for the Black Ops 6 zombie storyline, involving Samantha, Richtofen, and the big reveal in the cutscene, Prima Materia and the Sentinel artifact. Two things that we haven't heard about since the Chaos storyline in Black Ops 4 Zombies, which originally was supposed to be its own thing, its own separate storyline, but in Vanguard Zombies was made canon to this Dark Ether storyline. So just in case you haven't seen the cutscene for yourself yet and to provide context, I'm going to play it for you and then I'll come back and explain exactly what's going on after.
Okay, Sam. Whatever your plan is for bringing back Maxis, it better be good.
It is. I have scraped all Project Janus files classified Director's Eyes only. Richtofen is obsessed with an ancient relic called the Sentinel artifact. He believes it has the ability to manipulate a form of protomatter called Prima Materia.
You can't be serious. The term comes straight from medieval alchemy. Don't ask me to believe such horseshit. I am a man of science.
As is Director Richtofen, Dr. Strauss. The artifact is believed to be somewhere in the Principality of Avalon. He hired a criminal organization, the French Syndicate, to find it. They are interrogating a man called Gabriel Kraft. Your former associate, Sergei Ravenov, now employed by the Syndicate, abducted him on the orders of his boss, Franco.
I'm in.
Enjoy your revenge, young lady. I'm not chasing after an old wives' tale.
Oscar, we've all seen things that seemed impossible. And Richtofen is no fool. If he and Sam believe that this artifact can actually bring her back, we have to try. We can't give up on her. She never gave up on us.
She's right. Let's see for ourselves if this Sentinel thing is the real deal.
Agreed. But I still want to know where that bastard Richtofen is hiding.
Unknown. He may be en route to Avalon to collect the artifact.
Then let's find it before he does.
Heads up, people. Helo's ready. But the storm's getting worse. We gotta go, now!
So this takes place directly after the boss fight, after we defeat Patient 13, which is the big, giant, Kraken-like creature. We also see before this, Modi is killed. She was essentially the lead scientist here, but upon defeating Patient 13, SAM, or SAM, which stands for Synaptic Algorithm Module, which is the facility's AI.
You are speaking with the Synaptic Algorithm Module. Call me Sam.
She was created by Richtofen using the source code of Samantha Maxis. Richtofen based its programming off her brain because he wanted to try and replicate her abilities. But anyway, Sam helps the crew, which consists of Weaver, Maya, Carver and Grey, to bring back Modi's sub to shore. When it arrives, we see it get killed by Patient 13. We then have a battle with Patient 13. We defeat it, and then Sam tells us to gather in the guard station because she has a proposal that she believes would interest us, and that's where this ending cutscene kicks off, where Sam tells us that she scraped through all of the classified Project Janus files, and she found some which were called Director's Eyes only, where upon going through them she discovered that Richtofen was obsessed with an ancient relic called the Sentinel artifact, and he believed it to have the ability to manipulate a form of protomatter called Prima Materia, two things that we haven't heard about since BO4 Zombies, because it was a part of the Chaos story, a totally different storyline. So everything within it in relation to this storyline was irrelevant. Treyarch's original intention in Black Ops 4 was to keep the Chaos storyline separate, and that's what they did until Vanguard Zombies, where through one radio you could find in the Shinonuma map, it was finally made canon to this Dark Ether story, meaning Prima Materia, which isn't what created the undead in the Chaos storyline. The zombies that you see in that story come from the trials that were brought by the Sentinel artifact, the artifact that, as they say here, could manipulate Prima Materia, but that now exists in this universe, meaning we have two different ways the undead are created existing at the same time, the Dark Ether and the Sentinel artifact, and Richtofen was looking for this in order to manipulate Prima Materia. Anyway, as the cutscene continues, we see Strauss say, "Hang on, this can't be real." The term Prima Materia comes straight from medieval alchemy. As a man of science, that's basically mythology, so of course Strauss, being who he is, doesn't believe it. But remember, Richtofen is also a scientist, and he believed it to exist. In fact, he not just believed it, He knew it. And us having played Black Ops 4 Zombies, we definitely know it exists. But what's strange to try and wrap your head around is the world that Prime Materia existed in was so different to the realism, in quotation marks, of the Dark Ether storyline. The Chaos storyline involved a lot of mythology. We saw Pegasus, Medusa. The Chaos storyline and the Dark Ether storyline are so different, yet we are now being told they exist within the same universe, making everything within the Chaos storyline relevant. Anyway, Sam tells the crew that it's believed the Sentinel artifact is somewhere in the Principality of Avalon, which apparently, even though I haven't finished the Black Ops 6 campaign yet, is supposed to be a fictional European city within the campaign. Like I said, I haven't finished it for myself yet, so I couldn't confirm that, but if that is true, that also doesn't mean it has to have a direct relation to the Avalon we're hearing about in this cutscene, but at the same time, who knows? Continuing on, Sam tells the crew that Richtofen hired a criminal organisation called the French Syndicate to hunt down the Sentinel artifact, where they interrogated a man called Gabriel Kraft, who was a person we haven't heard about since Vanguard Zombies. But what we do know is Kraft studied Alistair Rhodes' writings, who did know about the Sentinel artifact and was very much involved in it.
It reminds me of when I studied the writings of Alistair Rhodes, an amateur demonologist and personal hero of mine. Rhodes wrote about different objects of power that he called Sentinel artifacts, but I was never able to find out exactly what they were. Nevertheless, if we can find the relic we seek at Shinonuma, I am quite certain I can use it on Von List and trap Cortifex in that little scepter of his.
So from what I can tell, because Kraft was the last man alive, or maybe the only person that really knows anything about the Sentinel artifact, Richtofen sent this group to interrogate him and probably try and extract any information he knows about its whereabouts. We then learn that Revanov is now employed by the Syndicate, which is why we don't see him anywhere in Black Ops 6. The boss of the Syndicate is called Franco. I don't believe we know who this person is, but clearly Maya does, because it's at that point she seems interested in what everyone's talking about and says that she'll go along with them wherever they're going next. And that's the excuse why we're not going to be playing as Strauss in the DLC maps. He thinks the idea of Prime Materia is a wives' tale, so I'm guessing in DLC 1, 2, 3 and 4, he's just going to be sitting back on the side, watching what's going on, helping us, whilst Weaver, Grey, Carver and Maya track down Richtofen and discover what his plan with the Sentinel artifact is and why he wants to manipulate Prime Materia. And they believe that if the Sentinel artifact does exist, then they may be able to use it to bring Samantha back. And then the cutscene finishes with Sam basically saying she doesn't know where Richtofen's hiding, but he may be en route to Avalon to collect the artifact. And well, we know because Terminus and Liberty Falls take place at the exact same time, and within the Liberty Falls intro cutscene, we saw Richtofen get attacked by Samantha in some kind of dark ether gas, and he disappears. So because these two maps take place at the same time, Richtofen can't be in Avalon. He isn't hiding from the group. He has been taken. As to his location, we don't know. He could be trapped within the Dark Ether, he could be elsewhere. Meanwhile, the Syndicate and Revanov are hunting down the Sentinel artifact for him. But the big revelation is that Prime Materia is now a part of this story. Because originally back in Black Ops 4, the Chaos storyline, like I mentioned, was totally separate. I wasn't all that interested in it, to be honest. It was okay, there were certain parts that intrigued me, but I didn't pay super close attention to everything like I do with the Ether storyline, and so my knowledge and memory on certain things isn't brilliant. But from what I can remember and just doing some research on Prime Materia, the very first time it was ever mentioned was when it was harnessed by ancient civilizations to create wondrous empires. Mining deep into the earth itself, these civilizations would return to surface with as much Prime Materia as they could carry. But no leader of mankind, such as emperors, kings or priests, could resist the Prime Materia's power, as with it, all of their societies and kingdoms would prosper. However, the more they used Prime Materia, the more greedy they became, and soon benevolence turned to violence, and peace turned to war. The power of Prime Materia consumed them all. The leaders soon neglected the citizens of their own societies, and one by one, each of their reigns came to an end, leading to the collapse of civilization. Anyway, as time went on, more of humanity succumbed to the greed of Prime Materia's power, and soon the amount of it left below the Earth's surface was very little. Prime Materia was so powerful that it could create endless supplies of whatever one desired, which, as you can imagine, was also extremely dangerous because he who held it also held unending power. But in the end, 9 individuals of men of science, philosophy and reason came together to form a group called the 9, where they vowed to protect what remained of Prime Materia and keep it safe. for mankind could not be trusted with its power. As time went on and humanity progressed, the more boundaries of discovery were pushed, and man found new ways to end themselves. When these discoveries were made, the Nine would arrive to secure them, preserving them outside of humanity's reach. Over the centuries, the collection of prime materia would grow, and its existence drifted into legend and myth, where it became an object of mankind's ultimate pursuit. Anyway, eventually, due to the Nine's status as mortals and normal men, they were eventually persuaded that they were wrong for keeping the knowledge of prime materia to themselves, so they decided to reveal it to the world. However, that decision was flawed, as again, people wanted that power, and it brought more wars and destruction, forcing the Nine to make the knowledge of prime materia private again. Sometime after, the Nine then used prime materia to create various relics known as Sentinel artifacts, which required a key to activate them. These artifacts were basically created to invoke trials to test if anyone was worthy of harnessing prime materia. These trials would allow the individuals inside of them to explore lengthy battles of worthiness, which whilst they were completing these trials, the environment around them would change and turn anyone not worthy of participating into the undead. However, those who activated the trials were locked in, either until you completed it, where everything would turn back to normal again, the people who had turned into zombies would change back to humans, or if you couldn't complete the trial, you wouldn't be able to escape until death. So basically, anyone who completed the trials by the Sentinel artifacts were worthy to access pieces of prime materia's knowledge that only the Nine wielded. So it is this what RICHTOFEN is after. The only question that we are left with is, what for? Okay, maybe it can somehow be used to bring Samantha Maxis back from the Dark Ether. If that's the case, well, we know from the Liberty Falls intro cutscene that RICHTOFEN also lost his family in a house fire, his wife and son, even though they're definitely dead, whereas Samantha isn't. Could he somehow be trying to bring them back? But I think there's also a bigger goal here as well, because of the power that prime materia holds, where it granted societies and kingdoms to prosper, but at the same time, too much of its power would consume you, bringing violence and war. Why is RICHTOFEN after the Sentinel artifact to manipulate prime materia? It sounds like RICHTOFEN is in the pursuit of ultimate knowledge, which leaves me super interested to learn what's going to happen next, because well, we've got the Syndicate looking for the Sentinel artifact, we've now got these characters looking for it, RICHTOFEN is missing somewhere. Yeah, I can't wait to see where the story's going to go with this, because that universe, the Chaos universe that it was involved in, was so different to anything we've seen within Dark Ether. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, drop a like rating, make sure you are subscribed, and we'll see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.